So I have always been fascinated by the female ENTJ for many reasons. One is simply just pure rarity of them, but the other reasons are kind of the trials and tribulations that occur in relationships, work, in day-to-day life. In a funny way, it's almost a curse to be an ENTJ female. It's like, why did God make me this way? So the ENTJ you see in front of you is Eva, and she's got a YouTube channel that suddenly was prioritized in my YouTube feed. And then I just started binge watching, and I'm like, okay, I gotta interview her. So, Eva,
Oh,
thanks for joining me.
thank you for inviting me. It's lovely to be here.
So, okay, first question I want to know, hard question is, do you think that ENTJs struggle in relationships?
I would say we can, not necessarily. I just think we struggle to find the person that's worth our time, most of all. But I will say, when you are in a relationship, this is something I've seen throughout my experience, is that the biggest problem is that ENTJs, and T-DOMs in general, will always try to see the best version of you and the sort of looking far into the future and being like, you could become this person. I'll help you get there. Like, if I love you, I will help you get there.
Right.
And to me, it's been quite fascinating to slowly understand, especially because I've had a few experiences with ESTJs sort of doing the same to me. And I'm not open for that.
Right now.
I'm just like, no, I know how to live my life. And that sort of gave me a perspective of how it must be to be dating in a T-DOM. And so I think the biggest struggle for us is sometimes balancing that out, understanding that other people do have their own way of living, and we can't always like force the idea that we have of what they could become into them. It's sort of like people say that ENTJs see relationships almost as projects,
Okay.
and that sounds very uh, unethical
Yeah, sure.
or immoral, but it's not in the sense that we see people as like things that could benefit us. It's just that we see the full spectrum of what they could be. And when we love someone, which is quite rare, I'd say, we want to put all time into that. So it's sort of like I would put my time into something I love, like my career, let's say.
Right.
I would put hundreds of hours into it because it's something I value. And when we are in a relationship, we sort of think that's another area for life in which we can use our T to benefit us and the other person. So why not just do that? But and that, the struggle in that is that eventually some people will just not change. They don't want to change. They don't want to grow, and that's fair enough. But to me, if you can't be willing to grow, I don't have a space for you in my life. Unless, like you can this sounds really bad, but it's just if someone's already on their own journey and I can see that they have it figured out and they are willing to just become the best version of themselves, just even waking up every day and thinking I can be better today. It's not
Mhm.
the requirement. It's not something like super structured. You can just be yourself as long as you're growing and progressing. It's not like a all right, I need you to achieve these things in this relationship. It's not like that, but it's just not stagnating. I think I've attracted a lot of people who are naturally quite lazy. And I always think like, oh, perfect, I can help them change. And that's just not how it works. And then one thing as well is that we have no problem cutting things out when we know that it. And I've seen this being a criticism of ENTJs. When we know that something isn't right for us, we have a time behind the scenes that people don't see, in which we reflect a lot about whether that's something that we want in our lives. And when the decision comes, which usually doesn't take long,
Mhm.
we're just like, okay, this isn't like gonna work out. And
Yep.
people see that as like, oh my God, you stopped loving me. It's like, it's never like that. We can love someone so much that we know that we're not right for them because we would spend our whole lives being incompatible with them.
Right.
And
Okay.
uh,
Good answer. And I think there's, because I have sort of gravitated towards the ENTJs, and I think that's kind of a reoccurring theme. Now, kind of on the same token is like the ideal career for an ENTJ. And
Mm.
I have always noticed that ENTJs are, no matter what field you put them in, marketing, sales, like it doesn't matter. They tend to gravitate towards the top. They'll get to the top, or they'll see the structure they'll see the way the game is played, how to get to the top, who, you need to impress and show like hard work,
Right.
and then they'll get to the top. But if they were to leave that job tomorrow, they're like, oh, I never really liked it at all. I was just good at it. So it's like trying to
Mhm.
attach ideal career is also like something you love. So it's like that TEFI axis where it's like taking action, doing something on something you actually find valuable rather than just something you're good at. So can you talk to that struggle?
Yeah, oh, I'm quite familiar with that. Um, you're right about the fact that we see the system quite in a transparent way, even in school. Like I remember I hate studying. I never was a kid who liked taking hours of my day to review subjects, but I was good at school because I was literally like, I hated this. I was seen as like a nerd for ages. People thought that I loved studying, and I don't. Like, I hate it. But I was at the front of the class. I just kind of realized, like, okay, you need to be listening to the subject, sure. You need to be taking the right information.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do the right steps and you understand how tests work, and especially like each teacher would have their specific ways of conducting the test. So you just figure out what the system is like, and you're like, okay, so I'll do exactly what the system is like, and then I'll get the best result. So it's really not about being smart or anything. It's just knowing what you're working with.
Okay.
The same happens in jobs. Yeah. I'm about to graduate, so I've had a couple jobs during my university, and a recent one. I won't really like go into detail just for confident, but yeah, it wasn't something I saw myself doing for the rest of my life, but it was a job that I needed to have just to pay my rent and
Mm-hmm.
do, just have financial independence. And it was something I got, and I didn't really care what it was. I just did it. And very quickly I realized, oh, there's a chance for progression here. And I started being really curious, which is something I think ENTJs are. It's just when you know that there's chance for growth, you just keep going and you put 100% into it. So my manager wanted me to very quickly go from a very minor role to like a much bigger role.
Mm-hmm.
And I was 20. I was just thinking, I could do this. Like, this is something I could do.
Right.
Realistically, like, I could have a good salary. I'm good at it. I can grow fast in it.
Yeah.
But then you get to a point in which you're like, oh God, what about my passions?
Right.
What about me being happy and genuinely feeling fulfilled? And I'll say that personally, I could very easily just have a job like that in which I'm good at. And then if I have enough time to spend on my hobbies and sort of fulfill that FI, then I would feel content. But I'm more ambitious than that usually. So the ideal job is to be able to monetize the things that actually make you happy. And I always think like whatever hobby you have, just monetize it. Just
Yes.
why not? Like what's stopping you? You like illustration? Okay, do illustration, do commissions. You like music? Publish the music, get a manager, start in concerts, work your way around it. You like film? Okay, be a freelancer, do some gigs.
Yeah.
Just learn
Anything.
as much as you can. And and YouTube even, like I started YouTube as a not a joke, but I just enjoyed it. And now it's like, oh, there is potential for me to do this almost full time if I want to someday.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think at some point T DOMs will have to go into that alpha and use that as a compass of what is the job, what is the right job for me and what's not. Because even as I said, I was talking about school, like I used to want to be a neuroscientist. And I was really, and I didn't want to be. It's just, since a young age, I was thinking, okay, what's the highest paying job? What's the, how do people win at life? I'll do that. But and again, like I had really good grades, but at some point I was just like, I can't see myself being happy doing this thing that's like in practicality, I wouldn't really like it. I'm not that good. The responsibility of having someone's health in my hands just doesn't feel like something I'd be able to solve. Like I could never imagine me telling someone you have 3 months to live. Like I would not be the person they come for comfort. I just be like, dude, I can't do anything about
that's
it.
rough.
So I just knew that wasn't something I could do. Well, you can always do whatever you want if you put in it.
Yeah.
But
it's just not naturally like you. That's too people oriented and like this too value emotionally based. I mean, you just have to admit
yeah,
it's
you
too
need to
much
be
navigating that
care. You need to
part
be
of it.
very emotionally aware of people's needs,
Mm-hmm.
which is something I have to train myself to be more of. Something like producing, which is what I do in film, even though I'm just a student, like
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot more natural for me because it's just problem solving every single day. That to me, just, there's like, I get a message, there's a problem, I'm like, cool, I'll just solve it.
Mm-hmm.
That's easy. That's like, it's what I like to do. And if
Right.
it benefits other people in the long term, because I get to help them do whatever they want in their career, then perfect. Like that's the two things I want. Seeing
Yeah.
people's potential be brought out and just solve problems.
Mm-hmm. Yep. David Keirsey in his book, Please Understand Me, it's like my most highlighted book, my most like referenced book, even though it doesn't get into things as deep as cognitive functions or anything like that. It's got some of the best like descriptions. And I think because he was a psychologist for so long, he really saw the types and then he really saw the temperaments. And you and I are both NT temperaments, what you'd call the rationals, even though I would consider INTJs irrational types. I do not think, we lead with a perceiving function. It's hard to be rational
Oh
if you
yeah.
lead with it.
Socionics does that as well.
Right. He talks about how each temperament views time, and he talked about the NTs viewing time as cyclical. So I wanted to ask you, what activities do you consider a waste of time?
Oh, is it really bad if I say being slow, just in general?
Being slow, like thinking, or
So, for instance, when someone has something to do and they take long to walk, or like, oh my God, let's say you need to go get something at the grocery store.
yeah,
Like, I just be like, I kind of know what I need to do. Like, I don't even need to put it on. Like, I just go to the grocery store right away. And some people are like, okay, which one? Like, I'm not sure if now's a good time. I was just stop, just let's just do it. So yeah, or like moving slowly really annoys me. It's ridiculous though, because my friends make fun of me. Like the other day I was walking on the street and I'm really tiny, like I'm 5'1", but I walk so fast. And my friends are like, where are you going? I'm just like, well, I can get there faster if I just walk fast. It's
okay.
ridiculous, yeah.
Do
But
you
then
think you're
other
impatient,
things,
like people that are too patient, or like you have a sense of impatience?
a bit. It's not that I'm gonna be annoyed if I sit still, but my mind is always like, why am I sitting still? If I could be doing something, I just think of the day. There's so many hours, but if you can stretch it, or how do you say it? The contrary of stretching? If you can minimize the
Compress,
time that you spend, if you can
optimize.
compress, yeah, maximize your time
Okay.
or optimize your time. If you can do that, why wouldn't you do that? So leisure to me is a bit hard sometimes. I need to put a window of like, all right, can you chill for 4 hours, please? And then my brain goes into it's chill time.
Okay.
But otherwise, I just, yeah. Like for instance, now your computer wasn't working, right? Before the interview. And literally, as soon as I saw that message, my brain just went, if we don't do it today, when could I do it? And what
Yeah.
can I do now instead of
Yep.
so yeah.
And that's
Just
good.
think
That's a good thing. I think it is that's why I kind of alluded to at the beginning. It is sort of a curse because my wife's an ISTJ, but I swear some days like ESTJ is really what she is because
Mm.
the idea of sitting around for too long is like really horrifying to her. So she'll start doing stuff just to be interacting, but it's stuff that's like stuff that I think is really tedious and not like just wanting to do something in the world, even if it's a task that doesn't need to be done. Like
Oh,
cleaning
like
something that
what?
doesn't need to be cleaned or packing something up that doesn't need to be
Oh,
packed or
right.
organizing something that's already organized. Like I just have to be engaging with the world. I have to.
That's that's so true. I literally like when I don't have anything to do, I get stressed, so I just find, but my brain is always like, that's always something to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I used to, during the pandemic, um, my ex-partner, like he's an INTP, he would make fun of me because I was always like optimizing my room. I was always like, when I had nothing to do, I just changed the layout a bit and be like, all right, and then clean it so many times per week. It's just like, can I make it as focused oriented as possible? Just yeah, do anything that needs to be done. And I think that's why I've developed so many hobbies throughout my life. It's because let's say I started designing when I didn't have any video to edit. So I'd do a video and I'd finish it and I'd be like, I need to do something. So I just started learning design. Then at some point I would finish my design commissions, I would finish my videos and I'd be like, I need something else to do. So I started doing music. And now I just have like all these hobbies that I really like, but I had to focus them at some point because you can't have too many. You need
Mm-hmm.
to, if you want to monetize, especially, and be a proper, like just do your hobbies correctly. You need to actually master them so
Mm-hmm.
you can have, let's say, that's something I see in high NE types. They like do a lot of things, but then they don't realize that it's good to focus as well on at least three things. Like if you have seven hobbies, focus on three of them. And at some point I had to do that because I was like, okay, I can't be good
Yeah.
at like all
You
of
can't be a
them. I
pro at all things. It's like I think going deep rather than broad. Like we could have like interests,
Mhm.
dabble. Like for me, it's like I'd like to learn. Like I'll read one book on that subject, but I'm not gonna like delve so deep into it. But
Mhm.
like with the NE types, I've tended to see them be they will have a tool for every hobby they've ever been interested in. So they'll have every outdoor activity, like a kayak, camping gear,
Oh my God.
snow boots, and they're like, yeah, I used it one time, but they have like every toy that's ever been invented for every hobby they got
Yeah.
interested in for like a couple months. And it's like, wow, you have an eclectic taste, but it's like they're not an expert in any of it, but they've absorbed so much and they've explored.
To me, it's like the more you have, the less focus you'll have
Mm-hmm.
on the intellectual sort of mind. I don't want to be distracted by my belongings. That's something I don't want it. Like everything I have needs to be functional. And yesterday I had such a fun. I was putting on some thighs, and someone said like, "Oh, those are really nice." And instead of me thinking, "Oh yeah, they look nice," I just told them, "Oh yeah, they have this technology that's like it isolates the heat in your body." so, so it's like it all needs a function.
Right. Sounds very ISTJ too. It's kind of funny, but I
Yeah.
think that people would say that my wife and I are very minimalist. Like if you came here, I mean, like you'd be like, wow, that's you like every single thing is there for a reason. Like you don't have like excess stuff. We're always like donating, selling, getting rid of stuff if it doesn't like serve its purpose for a while. So I think there is, and like cleaning is cathartic because it gets stuff out
Mhm.
of your mind that's like there, or if you start to have stuff like on your walls that you don't even notice anymore, then it doesn't have any more meaning and you need to get rid of it. What shows or movies would you suggest are like really ENTJ?
Hmm. Okay, I have one that I really like, and it has an ENTJ in it as well, and an ISFP, which is Whiplash. That's I don't know if you've seen, but it's I love every film that's about sort of the obsessed artist
Okay.
archetype. And especially because in this film, the ENTJ kind of like pushes the ISFP to their limit to show them that they are worthy of their talent. But a lot of people watch that film and hate the ENTJ. And I remember watching it, and at the end, I'm like, man, I relate to that so much. And people are like, what the hell?
Have you ever seen the show Dark?
Ooh, I've seen a bit of it. I haven't finished it. My family is always telling me to watch it. They're always like, "You love this thing." Like,
You will. And it's a German show, but it was like the first German show the Netflix picked up, and it's very
oh, okay.
non-linear, parallel universes happening at the same time, and there's like what is reality and what's not, but it's not done in a way it doesn't feel like so science fiction that
Mm,
it, there's enough reality where I don't like science fiction. I need some reality, but it
yeah,
is excellent in terms of its like, and they quote Nietzsche a lot in it. So it's like INTJ and time is a big circle and things that have already happened
yeah,
have already happened. Like this event has actually already occurred. Part of the coaching I do is like career relationships. People typically come to me through the career aspect, but like when you talk MBTI, person in interpersonal conflict or drama always comes out, and then it ends up being kind of a therapy session. So especially with the ENTJ female being a rare type, being a fish out of water in general, which is like, how do you're swimming against the current, or, typical like female male gender roles get in the way of like
mm,
that as well. So I have a lot of sympathy for them. And like I said, I do think that it's like sort of a curse and a gift. It's just like, how do you wield those gifts that you have to like get what you want and like have fulfillment?
oh. Is that a question? Should I?
No, it's not a question. It's just me
Yeah.
saying like, this is why I had you on the
Respond.
show. So I am
Mhm.
going to put in the description, I'll put your channel to demand that everyone watch
Oh,
and subscribe. And I do like the kind of, there seems to be a speaking style of ENTJs or INTJ females, which is like, sorry about it, but this is the reality it is. So it's like, I'm going to tell you something you're not going to like, but unfortunately, this is the way it is,
yeah.
or this is the way your type comes across. So I'm just I'm trying to help you. That's how I show love. And that's the thing where people don't understand what you're showing love, but it's coming across in a way that isn't tactful sometimes.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that. I appreciate that someone understands. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So, but thanks so much for being on the show, and I appreciate you as always.
Yeah, thanks so much.
I tried to live without you. Just can't get you off my mind.